Hey guys, what is up? NYKF31 here, Madden 20. Um, Back at it. Back at doing the coverage stuff. Did cover three, did quarters coverage. Had to take a little bit of a break and focus on offense and just playing the game and getting reps in and all of that. Just doing cover three and cover four got kind of exhausting, to tell you the truth. But anyway, on to cover two, and there's quite a bit to go over. I didn't really think there was much point in doing cover two until we got some type of update of some kind, because cover two, quite frankly, is pretty poor. And they did a break on the ball tuning update recently, and they have said that there are more updates coming, and they seem to be taking the conservative route as far as these updates are concerned, which I think is the right way to go. I don't think, well, personally, I'm of the belief that there's a whole lot of things that are tied together when it comes to break on ball, ball trajectory, the ability to reach stuff, that I think if it slides one way or the other, can completely unravel the game. That's my opinion of it, and because of that, I'm kind of glad that they're taking the cautious approach as far as that's concerned. But anyway, today we're going to go over cover two concepts and areas that need to be addressed. And really, there have been better days for the old Tampa 2, both in real life and in the game. In real life, the Tampa 2 scheme has kind of gone by the wayside. It's basically a situational call now. The Tampa 2 heyday, we're a good decade plus removed from when the Tampa 2 was a dominant scheme of the league. A combination of rule changes and schematic evolutions offensively in the sport have pretty much driven it into damn near extinction. You do still have some old Tampa 2 coordinators out there, Rod Marinelli, Jim Schwartz, Leslie Frazier in Buffalo. He's from the old Tampa 2 coaching tree as well. The Colts ran a fair share of Tampa 2 to the point where in their playoff game against the Texans, Booger McFarland was practically having an orgasm on the air. But then the following week, you saw what happens to Tampa 2 against really good, modern, spread out offenses with elite quarterbacks. It just gets absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree. Again, a combination of rules changes and schematic evolution. Really, the Tampa 2 was brought about as a defensive evolution to combat the West Coast offense. The West Coast offense was really posing a problem schematically for defenses at the time, where you had backs coming out of the backfield and tight ends busting down the seams, and what was happening to your standard cover two defenses that were trying to counteract the short, quick hitting routes is that they would send the tight end over the middle of the field and split the safeties, and off of the races you go. Plus, the West Coast offense also borrowed from the run and shoot option route running. The run and shoot guys were not quite in the league in the late 80s, early 90s. Mouse Davis was still in the USFL along with June Jones. And, Jack Party and John Jenkins and Jerry Glanville were still in the college ranks. So no one had really experienced that before at the NFL level. So the defensive evolution to deal with the problems that the West Coast offense was posing was when you have your typical, let me just go back to what I was in. Let's go back to Tampa 2. We'll just come out and Finger dig for now for illustration purposes in a few minutes, but what the Tampa 2 did to the traditional cover 2 defense was extend the vertical hook zone drops, more so of the middle backer, past the 10 to 12 yard range to a mid-hole runner. The middle linebacker now extended its drop to match any seamers going down the middle of the field. Now, the result of the Tampa 2 and its decade plus of dominance was that it finally forced the West Coast offense to have to adjust. Gone was the split backfield and the fullback. In came the slot receiver and more spread sets. And that posed a series of problems for the defense in return. If you look at this formation here, your typical gun doubles, 11 personnel set, you have 6 men in the box in run fits matched up against 5 linemen, a tight end, and a back. So right away, you're outnumbered up front by a factor of 1. And if you have a dual threat quarterback who can run zone read, you're outnumbered by 2 in the tackle box here. Now, out wide, you have your corners here who are primary force defenders. So against off-tackle runs, you have to have corners that are willing to mix it up in the run game and hold that edge and be physical, your Rondé Barber and your Peanut Tillman types. But against the run here, inside zone, with your tandem blocks inside and then peeling off to the second level, really caused the Tampa 2 front a lot of issues because your safeties there, they're not primary run-fit defenders. So your Tampa 2 teams, they really had to be very, very good up front. Vikings and the Williams Wall, and before that, Chris Dolman and Keith Millard. The Bucks with Booger McFarland, Warren Sapp, Simeon Rice. The Bears with Julius Peppers, and I can't remember that massive defensive tackle that they had, Tommy Harris, as well as rangy linebackers like Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs, Derek Brooks. The Rams, the Greatest Show on Turf Rams, were a Tampa 2 team. A really good defense for playing with a lead in that era. The Colts with Freeney and Mathis. But, like all things, football is not a static sport. Evolutions keep on occurring. Offenses got better at spreading the field, conflicting defenders, and using that zone running game, and with the modern dual threat quarterbacks, the zone read game, and then fast forward to our present era with the RPO game, it really has reduced the Tampa 2 to a situational coverage. You see Tampa 2 more often in really long yardage stick situations. You see it in garbage time situations at the end of the game. Blake Bortles was the king of garbage time yards against Tampa 2 coverage. You see it in the red zone still, where its weaknesses aren't quite exposed on a long field. And you also see it played a lot against bad quarterbacks. It's the disrespect coverage. It's the coverage that you see when you're playing against Andy Dalton and that kind of stuff. But as far as a down in, down out defense, it's as a scheme, as a base defense, it's been replaced by what I call the modern Tampa 2, the Pete Carroll single high system that's spread throughout the league, that Pete Carroll developed based off of Monty Kiffin's under front principles, but he just changed the coverage shell. He took from Nick Saban's pattern match, Liz Rip pattern match cover 3, along with his own little wrinkles, and formulated that at USC and then with the Seattle Seahawks, and they basically fielded one of the best defenses in league history over a course of a couple of years, basically playing cover 3 every down. Match cover 3, some spot drop cover 3 with checks and palms checks and cut checks, poach checks to keep you guessing, combined with the same type of fronts you saw with the old school Tampa 2 teams. Fast, athletic linebackers, speedy edge rushers, athletic gap shooting defensive ends, defensive tackles rather, and just wreaked havoc. And you've seen the league copy that ever since, and they're still copying it. So that is pretty much what you have in the modern game right now. And this play will illustrate the problems that Tampa 2 runs into, as you have here a Dagger Concept, which is going to put the mid-read and the vertical hook on the weak side in conflict with the clear out and the dagger route, with a square end route, plus a quick hitting shallow cross. Again, the middle linebacker, he has the deep run through, and the vertical hooks, they're looking to drop and gain depth from 10 to 12 yards out, redirect and reroute the seamers, and then rally on anything thrown underneath. But when you're skating out, you leave that 5-yard no cover area wide open for the shallow cross. With all that space.
59, ready, 280.
Teams would do stuff like that and this.
25 tonight.
And if you want to go further down the field, you can flip that mic and vertical hook. Really good job there. You see that dagger route comes in right in that tender area. The mid-read actually did a really good job. Like you'll see here, again, you have the shallow cross being run, that 5-yard no cover area. Because of the damn auto chuck, it takes them wider. You know, Zach talks about this a lot, and this is a major pet peeve of mine as well. There's no reason to ever have a receiver on a shallow cross taking a forced outside release. Just run the damn route underneath like so. But that forced outside release and that auto chuck gets him wider than he should be. You see here the mid read. Receiver side, the strong side, which is this side here. 1, 2, 3. And he's got to play, he's got to account for this vertical route here and this. He's 2-on-1, and he just hit the level that opens up. This vertical hook here, let's see how far he gains as far as his drop is concerned. He starts at the 34-yard line. His drop ends at the 44. That's fine. Uses him because he anticipates the mid-read picking him up. So they play that pretty well. The problem area that I see here, at least on this play, is concerned is doesn't drop back that far consistently, which you'll see later on. Like he gets, I don't think he gets 10 yards of depth at all. He gets maybe like 6. He's on the 33-yard line. Does he even get to the 40? He barely gets to the 40.
Ready to go.
You see the conflict there as well. I mean, that's a tough concept for the vertical hook and the mic to handle. The drops to the tight end side are looking pretty good. Also conflict the mid-read backer with the double post concept.
Ready to go. Ready, blue line.
Not near as much depth here. I think the play action is a result of that, and plus he sees the back coming out. He kind of reacts to that. So that causes a window to open up right here, and the mic is conflicted here with this deep crosser. The corner's job on the outside, both corners' job, their job is to jam and redirect the receivers inside. If they allow an outside release, they have to bail out and close off the sideline between themselves and the safety. The safeties have to get off the hash. In this situation here, he'd have to get to the numbers and read in between. He's a little bit too narrow here. Look to cut off post. Not post in this case, but corner. In this situation with double post, again, he reroutes him inside. This is just an automatic animation here. What this safety would do once he makes his read off his drop, once he gets the numbers here, if number 1 is not going to the sideline and there's, you know, no wheeler coming out here, he would then drive on the post route on a 45-degree angle and close. Now, because his window is so large, it's going to be a completion anyway, but he wouldn't just do this drifting stuff. Even in spot drop zone, you want to jam, reroute, you want to force receivers into tight windows, and then drive on the ball. You want to shrink windows as much as humanly possible. Like right now, he should be driving hard on this. And instead of a completion with an additional, 10 yards or so, maybe he just catches the ball here, and it's a bang bang play. It's a tough concept for cover 2 to handle. It's a cover 2 beater, but we need to get away from the static movement of the defenders as far as drifting is concerned. No cover 2 safety would ever just watch that post route. They would top it and drive on it. For verts, we're going to see some problems as well. Again, because of the conflict, you can just clear out and just leave the back to operate in space there. Teams will like run the tight end or the seamer down the middle of the field and replace the back in that area on a Texas route, angle route.
22!
These corners, though, they do not do a great job of protecting that sideline. Safety did a good job breaking on it there, but it's way too big of a window.
Hey, check! 25 tonight!
Doesn't gain enough depth. So you can hit that. You see right there?
Ready?
Safety here, he does not get wide of the numbers. He's got to get in between these two dudes here. The vertical hook here does a poor job of gaining appropriate depth as well, so the window is pretty darn big between him, the safety, and the mid-read backer. That's wide open right now. This side is better. That's the way it should be played on that side. Outside release fade, and the ball's already thrown, but you see here the issue with the corner. Outside release. Once he redirects, he has to stink back. He can't just allow him free reign on the sideline. He's got to bail out of there. He's got to shrink this window. I mean, you can hit that pretty regularly, much more regularly than you should.
Ready! Back through! Ready, set!
That's on both sides. Ken O'Neill just got there to knock it out, but that hole is just way too large. Way too large. And if you're in a more spread out set, it's even more of a problem.
Ready! White 25! White 25 tonight!
Get that all day.
Ready, blue 80! Blue 80! Blue 80 tonight!
That vertical hook plays well. That option route seamer helps the mid read out. You can hit that still because it's just way too much space. And if you just change him to a straight up streak, not enough depth by the vertical hook, you can hit that in front of the safety. It's a bang bang throw with the window's too large. He's not sinking gain enough depth. He's already open right now. You just want to disrupt timing and make the throwing lane as small as possible. And that's just not happening. That's a huge throwing lane. They're getting off the hash faster, I notice, on that. Or, well, not the hash in this case, but The break on the ball is better, but it's just too much space. It's just too far. And it's all because the corner is just not sinking enough.
Ready for go.
It's just a bad throw. Deep attack. Again, that stresses the corner. Because the corner, he has to sink back. So that out route's going to get open underneath him. If you want to take that away, you either got to roll to a really hard flat, which would just make matters worse down the seam. Like if you wanted to fully commit and just play a hard corner there, you want to play a hard corner there, you just make the hole worse. There's a hard corner, you know, boom. I'll show you what the answer to that should be, which is a lot safer and more sound defensively. HP option is another Tampa 2 stressor. Twin verticals on the seam with a square rim route, so you have a Dagger Concept and the option route by the back. Everyone's got to skate out of there, so you just replace them with the back. You know, this is why it's very, very tough to base out of this in the real. You know, in Madden as well. See the conflict the mid-read has. The mid-read has two verticals on the seam, and the dagger route, and the Dagger Concept coming from the strong side. Here's a mid-read opening up, and he kind of just squats here, doesn't know really what to do. He needs to get more depth in his drop. He shouldn't just stop there. He continues to go on once he finds that this guy has cleared the vertical hook. Because again, he's just not getting enough depth on this side. So now he starts moving again, but it's too late. And of course, that opens up this. It's going to be open anyway if he just keeps on skating out, because that's the design of the play. He's in conflict. As this one gets carried properly. And boom. Before we go to Smash, I just want to go back to 4 verts again. You see how the vertical hook just isn't giving help at all. The mid-read's actually doing a pretty darn good job. I think the play action, does he react to the play action fake? Looks like he does, which I kind of like. They need to have play action be a factor against AI defenders. Both vertical hooks do a pretty bad job as a result of it. Let me cancel the play action fake and see how they react. Because it looks like they freeze on the run action. Let me keep in the block.
Hey, express!
Yeah, and they play as normal. But yeah, they play as normal when you cancel the play action fake. They're not honoring the run action.
51! 25
But I still don't like how the vertical hook on the left is just not giving enough of a cushion. Now, you can always not mid-read, but drop the MLB in a deep third.
Check!
And the vertical hook carries, which is really weird. The problem with that is that the middle linebacker, A, remove himself out of the run fit, and B, just leaves even more space. So if I do a play like this, HB seam verticals, HB seams with basically 4 verts, but with the back coming out of the backfield. Again, a really good Tampa. There's enough space there as it is. If you change the middle linebacker to a mid-third, it's just going to accentuate that.
21! Blue 80, sit on it! Ready, blue 80! Black 25!
Now with Smash here, Smash is another cover 2 beating concept, which puts the corners, the outside corners, in conflict between the hitch routes by the outside receiver and the corner route as well by the slots. Again, the corner has to give ground to cut off that hole between the safety and the sideline. If he gives too much ground, the hitch is wide open. If he comes down on the hitch, the corner is wide open. So he has to midpoint it. Hitch all day long. And you have vertical stems by the slots before they break to the corner, so the vertical hooks have to respect them. The linebacker has to drop to his mid hole, so that opens up the back and that no cover area. And boom. And when I say no cover area, that's that area under 5 yards. There's no zone to cover a 3-yard route, people. It doesn't exist. If someone wants to take that away, if a team wants to take that away at a zone coverage, it's like let's say it's a 4th and ball game situation, like 4th and 5 to go. Yeah, you'd play a stick situation there, or on the goal line. But on standard down distance situations, you're going to concede that throw every single time. If you want to take that away, got to roll up in man coverage and have a better athlete. Simple as that.
Ready, we go!
Man coverage or play man one with a robber in the hole.
Ready, blue 80, get up!
And corners are giving good depth on those corner routes there. They're not letting that corner get to the sideline. We all know in Madden, not all corner routes are created equal. So they play Smash properly.
Ready, back 25! Ready, blue 80!
So Smash out of trips. Again, this is a headache for the mid-read backer. You have the seamer by the tight end as well as the backside square end route, and you have the high-low to the outside as well. Playing that well. That's the way that you should play it. Give up the hitch, rally on it when it's thrown, make the receiver pay, make a good tackle. He just lets him go. He's got to match that much better than that. He's got to turn his hips and run. He begins to do the right thing and open up, but then hesitates.
Ready, blue 80!
Has to play in between submitting routes. The mid-read's got to do a better job here matching this. For all intents and purposes, man-to-man coverage, so you got to turn and run. You can't allow that to happen. On the backside, you're going to have the dig right where he vacates. the vertical hook area.
Ready, blue 8.
I mean, that vertical hook defender will be reading the quarterback's eye, so the QB would have to look him off, obviously. If he stares him down, he can undercut that, obviously. But this is a case where the window exists because of a couple of things. One, I think that dig can be a little bit deeper, a couple of yards deeper, and of course, his drop is not as deep as I like. I think it's a little bit better. No, not nearly deep enough. If this square one was, I would say, 5 yards deeper, as I think it should be, he has no shot of undercutting that route. No.
Ready, blue 80.
His bunch.
Ready, blue 80.
Key spot. Let's see how they play that corner.
Wide, 25 tonight.
Okay, good job. It's in depth as he should. Does not allow that hole.
Ready, blue 80. Blue 80 tonight. Ready, blue 80.
Obviously, the
25 tonight.
acres of space is here. Everyone skates out, and that's it. Again, he's in that tender spot. He breaks right in that. He actually, the play art has him, or in motion, he's deeper than what the play art shows by a little bit. But again, he's in that 5 yard no cover area where they all vacate, and that's where you'd want to attack in that concept. You know, the corner shouldn't be there, and I'm glad to see that it's not. Let's see what happens when he streaks somebody, though.
Gun.
The safety's looks like he's initially in good position. He's in between 1 and 2, but I think you can pass that to him pretty easily. Enough depth. He's not recognizing that.
Ready, blue 80. Hey, sprint plans. Gun.
I mean, it'd be hard to see him, you know, all the way out there, but he's got to get more depth in it. It's in his line of vision. He's got to see that. Then it just becomes an inside pass lead situation. Like, even if I left him where he is,
Ready, blue 80.
he's dropping and turning right to him, in his line of vision. But he lets him go. You see that? The safety's doing a good job, though. So that's the good part. But the mid read is kind of squatting down there. Let's see if I put Hooper on a
Go.
flat route.
Blue 80 tonight.
Situation.
Ready, black 25.
Does not come down in the corner. That's good. He drives on the throw. He does that better, but the mid read is terrible. Go right by him. That's Deion Jones. He's one of the better coverage backers in the league. So that could open up a whole world of hurt.
Ready, blue 80.
You know, just stock here. This is. You got the backside post. You have that angle route coming as well as a shallow cross. I mean, you can hit that quick.
Ready, blue 80. Blue 80 tonight.
We're behind that because, again, the mid read is skating out and he's opening up to the strong side. But he's too deep to get there for that.
59.
And then the coup de grace is the backside post. He's opening up to this trip side, and like I said, the safety does not drive on the post. He doesn't top it at all. It's about understanding what your role is and where and how you have to give help. Like right now, he has to drive at a 45-degree angle and top this bad boy. Is it tough? Sure, but you at least would be in a position to contest the throw, depending on how good you are. I don't expect him to cover Julio Jones, but I don't expect him to let it just cross his face and just drift aimlessly either. That would never happen, and a safety would be yanked off the field if he did play that situation like that.
21. Ready to go.
See what happens. Good play there.
Ready. White 25. 22. Get up.
Wow. Neil broke like a lunatic.
Down.
They are breaking faster. The patch notes are right on that, but there's still a whole bunch of legacy issues with cover 2. Like, he never gets here pre-patch. Never, ever, ever in a million years. Make it a bang-bang play. So that part's better, at least.
Black 25.
Bench against cover 2. This is bench out of this concept, out of this formation. What you're trying to do is to quickly out-leverage the defense to the sideline. Against cover 2, again, the corner should be sinking, gaining width and depth to protect the sideline, so a quick hitting out should get open underneath them. Way too aggressively. And there's your wide open corner.
Ready. 280. 280. Sit down.
Jumping on it right away on both sides. A little bit better on that side. True fonts over there, so maybe that's the difference. Or maybe it's a right side, left side of the field thing, which sometimes happens in Madden. But you can see here that they're not playing it nearly as well as we saw in the other corners that we tried to hit. You see there? Ooh, okay. They're coming down much harder and leaving that gap open right away. And of course, the safeties aren't helping matters by just sitting on the numbers. You even get wide the numbers? They get wide, but late. They're just way too late, and the corners are not giving them any help. That's what happens when your corners sink down in cover 2. You just have too much space for the safeties to have to account for. Jumps it right away. And look at all of the space I throw this guy open into. He doesn't get off his mark at all, very well at all. It's too much. Shade over the top. Will that make a difference? I doubt it will. Nope. If we press, will it make a difference? I doubt it will. Not as bad, but still pretty bad. Now, if this works, base a line, I will be most vexed. Nope. So yeah, it's bad all the way around. Bench switch is probably the same way.
54, stop! Blue 80 to that! Down! Ready! Line, 25 to that!
Really bite down that quick route and just give up the sideline. I mean, what would you rather give up as a defense? The route that's run 4 yards deep, or give up a 15 to 20 yard gain?
Ready! White 25!
So we're seeing quite a few problems with some better zone breaks here and there, but yeah, I'm out of all the coverages that we've broken down, or I've broken down, I think cover 2 is by far and away the worst. Cover 2 sink. Cover 2 sink. Cover 2 sink. Just, I know what they were trying to do with cover 2 sink. Cover 2 sink is supposed to be trap 2. It's supposed to be a 2-read pattern match version of cover 2, or pattern read version of cover 2. It's basically a palms concept. You can play palms concepts out of any coverage. Cover 3. Seahawks have palms checks out of cover 3. They have all kinds of checks outside of the Liz Rip pattern match stuff. They have poach, they have cut checks, they have palms checks. It's the reason why they can play cover 3 every damn down. That and having Earl Thomas in the middle of the field all those years. But yeah, read 2 or cover 2 sink. Why would you play this? Well, you would play read 2. Let's say you're playing a team that's just killing you with quick hitting routes to the flats. You're a cover 2 team, and your corners are doing what cover 2 corners should do. Jam, redirect, sink to the sideline, and they're just hitting these little speed flat routes underneath it and catching and running for, 8 to 10 yards after the catch. So what you would do, you'd play read 2. And what would happen in read 2 is that the corner and the safety are now playing 2-read. The corner will trap number 2 to the flat, and the safety has to overlap and take number 1 vertical. The problem is that in this game, they only do half of that. You see here, I changed that double post to have Ridley here running the flat route. I'm going to keep the post route on. We snap the ball. Here's your trap to the flat. But you can just bomb that because the mid-read is not getting out there and the safety is not matching. That should really be, in this case, a 2-on-1 bracket if we have the mid-read gaining depth. Here's the flat route. And you're just trying to bait the throw. He bails, and then when he sees the flat route, trap to the flat. But unfortunately, he does not relate to the number 1 vertical, and it's just an easy completion. Combined with the mid-read stopping his drop at, where does he start his drop? From the 34, he drops to the 45.
Ready! Blue 80 to that!
Like you see here, let's go to the other side of the whip route.
Ready!
Trap to the flat, but unfortunately, the safety is not relating to number 1, so this comeback route will be wide open. He would just stop his route and he's wide the hell open. Now, if number 1 goes under, the corner will match number 2. So it's a match within cover 2, but it's only done half right. if that. Under here, he now matches number 1. There's no, match for the safety. That's trap 2 against empty, not empty, but against trips.
Ready.
Against trips, he will play man-to-man unless number 1 goes under. So in this route concept here, man-to-man.
Ready. Back 25.
Number 1 goes under. Sinks. Number 2 goes out to the flat. He traps, but you see the same problem.
Ready. Blue 80.
Trap to the flat, but you see he doesn't match. And again, I don't expect the safety to cover Julio Jones, but I expect him to carry out the coverage assignment. Let's say the back does not go out on a route at all. It's man match all the way, no matter the route. So if he goes in the block, if he runs a drag,
Ready. Blue 80. Hey, South. Blue 80. Sonata.
straight man lock.
White 25.
See the backfield.
Base, base.
And again, let's say they're running, speed out, speed cuts, trap, but touchdown to the post. So yeah, they have it half right, but everywhere else is a mess. So, cover 2, it's still not that great. I think it's the weakest it's ever been. When you combine how we can place the ball with how the assignments are being played, you can light up cover 2, pretty much like NFL teams light up cover 2 on Sundays, which is I guess accurate, but not for the correct reasons, if that makes sense. So there you go. That's cover 2, and I'm pretty much done with that. Next up, I will do cover 6/C9, C6/C9, and then on to man coverage. So.